How's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about, there we go. It's actually I do believe it's in Matthew. Oh, it's Luke 22, verse 30, 39. So, it's about, Jesus praying on the Mount of Olives. There's something I wanted to talk about in this specifically because he was praying on the Mount of Olives, and the thing I thought was interesting was he was asking God to take away the thing that he was he knew he had to do. He was charged to do something, and he knew he didn't want to do it. Everyone knows that would be a terrible thing to be asked of you, and a very difficult thing to do, right? Sometimes we have that in our own lives, of course, much smaller, but meaningful nonetheless, because everyone has their own. Like, God only gives us what we can handle. So if we can't handle it, then God hasn't given it to us. But sometimes God can push that limit so we can grow as a person. Or maybe our strength in that is helping someone else in their walk. We don't really know why, but we just know that we have to be faithful to the cup at hand. And it says in verse 39, he went out. Oh, wait, sorry. He came and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. And when he came to the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not enter into temptation." And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw. He knelt down and prayed, saying, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours. But yours be done." And there appeared to him an angel from the heaven, strengthening him, and being in agony as he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Rise up and pray that you may not enter temptation." I'll just read that section for now. There is actually a scientific thing about bleeding blood drops. It happens in a great time of stress. It's a very rare occasion. Only few people have been scientifically documented to do this, and the fact that Jesus did it proves that sometimes we get asked things that are beyond our strength. That's why we have to call upon God, who strengthens us even more so than what we can. I might pray through the whole thing from here on, but I just feel like I wanted to talk about how we're not always ready for the thing God asks us for, but sometimes we have to come to Him with our weakness and say, "Hey, look, I know I can't do this. This is difficult. I just can't complete the task you've put before me, and I just ask that you bring me peace, bring me understanding on how to do it. If there's anything I could do on my side of things that would make it easier, please give me that wisdom. If there's anything you can do, please strengthen me with it." And there's just sometimes in this life, it's just difficult in some sections, and we may ask and earnestly pray, "Please, I don't want to do this, God. Can you please make it easier, make it gone? Just remove this thing." And that's when I bring up, maybe it's not to change us for the better. Maybe it's not to strengthen us for the better. Maybe it's to strengthen others around us, because I think God's goal is bring everyone to Him, and sometimes He'll use us as tools so that everyone can feel the love and the power and the strength that God gives. So that's just my thought, and that's kind of, this video is probably going to be a little bit shorter just because I want it to be concise about how we should be strengthened by God, and how even Jesus wept. Even Jesus had times of weakness, and it's like everyone thinks of Jesus as, He was perfect, but perfect doesn't mean not having emotion, doesn't mean not feeling weakness, doesn't mean not feeling temptation. He was tempted in every single way, but He relied on God the Most High, and He brought everything to Him, and God brought Him out of those temptations, those sadnesses, or even just strengthened him to walk through it as God would. So that's something we can ask for and something we can pray for. And God is more than willing to help that. And it's proven by Jesus going through with the thing he knew he needed to do. It's proven because he didn't like, no one would want to sacrifice themselves for everyone, of course. But of course, he also, I think he partially understood why this was, because he saw the scripture, he read the scripture, he understood, that he was Messiah. And also, everyone knows that he knew as well, him and God are one, so that's proven in the Bible many times over. But yeah, I think and it even charges the disciples, and this includes you too, but when we're dealing with those really heavy emotions, it says, rise and pray that you may not enter temptation. And they were sleeping from sorrow, but that was considered temptation to God, to Jesus, because he, one second, pray more earnestly and sweat begin. That would be, I don't know why, and probably because God hasn't given me the wisdom of it yet. But rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation. Now I don't know why that is, whether he's saying that sleeping for sorrow, the exhaustion of sorrow, was falling into temptation, or if it's because he charged them to pray. One second. But I think that's inaccurate. One second. No sword clothed. No, he didn't charge them to pray. Wait. When he came to the place, he said to them, pray that you may not enter into temptation. And then they fell asleep. And then he said, why are you sleeping? Rise and pray that you may not enter temptation. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with that. But what I was trying to say is, it helps us understand that we need to pray our way out of temptation too. There's a lot to be said about this. Let me see. Okay, let me see. I'm going to read more about that. I'm going to read this again. He came and went, and wait. And he came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives. And the disciples followed him. And when he came to the place, he said to them, pray that you may not enter temptation. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw. He knelt down and prayed, saying, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared to him an angel from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said to them, why are you sleeping? Rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation. Okay. Cool. Yes, I think that's about what I wanted to say about this verse. Thank you. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. That's in Matthew 26:41. Thank you so much. So, and then, yeah, okay. Cool. Okay, we're gonna read this section in Matthew, though. Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. Wait. Let's just make sure. No. Okay. Gethsemane. I'm probably saying that totally wrong. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. And he went and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Keep watch with me. Okay, I see. Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour?" He asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away the second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." Then when he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Wow. So I really like this. My beautiful wife helped me out here because I was not sure. See, it seems like Luke has a more basic writings on it, but Matthew was very thorough in the interactions between him and his. But that is why it says in. That is why it says in Luke. And he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Rise and pray that you may not enter temptation." It's because he says, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." And they failed to do that 3 times. And notice how can we notice, how he interacted with them when they were weak? Can we notice how he was gentle with them? How he also tried to reason with them with a level of rationale that's just beautiful. "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Now, there's exclamation marks a lot in this 45th to 46th verse of Matthew 26. And so, very well, he could have been raising his voice a bit, but let's be honest. He was totally fair. He told, this is the Son of God telling man, "Hey, just keep watch." He needed a time with the Father, and they weren't able to help him out, in that regard of staying watch. And I just wanted to remark that, and thank you. But essentially, I would say if you want to look into, the Mount of Olives, Gethsemane, look on Matthew 26, 36 through, I want to say 46. So there's 10 verses where it explains that one section. What I also like is it says that he came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives. It says that was a common place for him to pray, or a common place for him to go and be present with the Lord. And I think we all have that in our own way. Maybe it's the car, on a drive. Maybe it's, someplace in the woods. Maybe it's the beach, or maybe you're just walking in the park. Maybe you're in the gym, but sometimes we need to just go and be with God in our own way. God is accessible everywhere. It's not like, okay, you got a subscription to, being a Christian. all right, but if you pay this a little bit more in tithe, then you could have God plus, you know, and that way you could talk to him anywhere, not just at church. We can talk to him anywhere, and he's accessible anywhere and everywhere. He wants to have that connection with us more so than we do at times. Sometimes, you know, that's kind of sad, you know, but we're flawed individuals in that sense and in that regards that, you know, sometimes we don't even want to talk to the one who's created us, you know, because we feel like everything down here is more important, you know. But really, if we get things lined up there, down here seems a lot better, you know what I mean. So that's just, I hope this video was encouraging. That's all I wanted to do, is encourage. And I don't think it would have been as encouraging if my wife did not help with this. So props to her. Thank you. But essentially, we need to kind of stay strong and also understand that sometimes God's will is not our will, but our will is to fulfill out God's will, you know. And sometimes that could be difficult. That isn't perfect. That isn't easy most times. But it is a blessing to do, and he gives us strength after and before. And I don't know about you guys, when I do what God's asking me to do, I feel like there's joy of life afterward. I don't know what it is. It's a blessing. That's all I can say. And I just want to say, search out for that throughout your days of living. Just search out for that. Feel that every day, because it's probably the best feeling you can ever get, really. So anything with anyway, with that, God bless, and I can't wait to see you in heaven, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. All right, bye-bye.